Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, look what time it is. Look who it is. By the way, Brandon was telling me, like, there were people waiting. I can't believe that people wait for this. I mean, that touches my heart. It does. I appreciate it. I really do. My name is Rich Tessel. This is the Two Guys Tech Homelab Hour. The chat was as always blowing up before the actual show started, so it's good to see everybody. I got to see Jason in there, Sakura's in there, Allison's in there, like all my familiar faces. And I appreciate you guys joining me, and I'm sure a lot more. Let the intro finish once. I do my best. I'm sorry, Allison. I will wait next time. Anyway, last week I wasn't here. I was on a family vacation, and it was nice. It was a good time. I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys survived without me. I'm sure you did. I'm sure I'm not that special. You guys found something else to do on your Tuesday. But went out to the Oregon coast. It was nice and cool. I guess down here in the valley of the Willamette Valley, it was a fire, not literally a fire, but it was hot. And so anyway, so I missed all that, thankfully. But Grish, hello, welcome. So, and Allison says we only barely survived without me. I'm glad that I'm that important. Like, there's just one man, we can barely survive without him. But I appreciate you guys. As I always do, let's get through the. What do? We always go through the housekeeping first, and then So the housekeeping is, this is our 24th episode of the Homelab Hour. As always, the intention of the show is to talk about Homelab, to talk about the YouTube stuff that I do in Two Guys Tech, to answer questions if you have questions. If you saw something you just agree with, you want to just hit me up in the comments. That's what it's for. Got questions about tech and all that kind of stuff. That's the intention of this. After the show, if you join our Discord, that's one of my two choice opportunities to talk about it. We do a after show where we hang out and we just chat bi-directional. We talk over each other quite a bit, but it's a good time. We do that for about an hour or so afterwards. And as always, my producer, Brandon Kasner, is turning the knobs and pressing the buttons and doing the dials and helping me make sure that this stream gets off as smooth as possible. So he's there. Thank you, Brandon. Anyway, I like to start our hangouts with a chat about a personal story. I wasn't sure how to do this story, but I wanted to tell you about it because I think it's important. I think what I'm about to say is important. But on vacation last week, right? Yeah, we rented, not this Inside Baseball, but we rented a little Verbo or like a Airbnb, whatever that was. Right? My wife takes care of all that stuff. I just go. That's my thing. But the house had TVs in every single room. There were actually 5 different television or television-like sources in the house. Just go with me here. I'll explain what this is all about. And as you do, after spending the time, the day in the little town, and you go to the beach and all that stuff, you come back, you're like, I just want to chill out, watch some TV. So you turn on the TV, and there was a television in all 3 bedrooms. There was a projector in the living room, and there was a little Fire Stick. All 5 of those devices have smart TV functions. And wouldn't you know it, every single one of those smart app-filled devices had logged in user accounts for Netflix, for Amazon Prime, for Disney Plus, for everything. No Plex. I don't know if I could say the P word or if Papa YouTube's going to come for me. So if I disappear, but there was no Plex app, but everything else was signed in with people's credentials. Now, as a day job, I work in security and I work in infrastructure security and that kind of stuff. I do a lot of security-focused, security-minded things, right? And so I am looking at these people who've left themselves logged in, and you open the Netflix app and you see 4 or 5 different accounts, and it's blah 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 blah. And I kept thinking to myself, you people, you just left yourself logged into these accounts, and granted, the splash damage is minimal. You really can't do anything other than consume content through it. I get it. Yeah. Like Allison said, people are the least secure part of everything, 100%. But they're logged in this account. And the more I would open up these apps and by the way, the other thing that's fascinating here is that every different device, all 3 of the TVs and the other devices had different accounts logged into them, different Netflix accounts, different Prime. They're all different. So I'm assuming that someone just goes, boop, oh, it's already logged in. Cool. I'm just going to watch my Netflix. That's not what Rich does. Rich looks at it and he sees all these names. He's like, I need to teach these people a lesson. There needs to be some learning going on here. You don't get to leave yourself logged into those services and forget about them. That's your private stuff. You paid for that and you shouldn't do that. See how I switched arms there? Anyway, so I started to change the names on the accounts so that when they get home and they're in their normal lives and they're like, boop, let's watch some Netflix, honey. And you're like, who's that? Who's that name? So I started changing account names. And I started really pedestrian at first. Like there was one person who's logged in as clearly a husband, a wife, and then 2 kids. And they all had their own accounts. And the wife's name was Amber. And I doubt that she's going to... And so I'm like, okay, let's just start easy. Her name is now Bamber. That's easy. Not going to change anything else. Jump to the next one. Just started changing things like anonymous user. Just started adding like just things... just so that there's a moment for those people when they sit down on their couch and they're like, I want to watch White Lotus. Boop. And they see a name there and they're like, who is that? Someone's in our account. At a minimum, they change their passwords, right? That's good, right? And at a maximum, maybe they learn. As an aside, because I told this story to Brandon and Brandon's like, yeah, I'm sure you left yourself logged into. I'm like, no. Whenever I go to a place like this and I inevitably log into the account, I intentionally set a reminder on my phone for the day that I leave early in the morning to remind me to go ping me and say, hey, you should probably log out of your accounts. And I do. I log out of my accounts because that's what a sane person. Shout Technologies, Jason Secura. I mean, yeah, a crotch goblin number 2. Yeah, There were some guys. I mean, there's a mean streak in all of us, and there were like some people. There you go. Allison says, "Bring your own fire stick." But like, there's a mean streak in me who was like, kind of just want to like. There was one person's like Lily's account - delete this and you die, and I'm like, boop. I didn't. Okay, I did. I deleted that one. I'm sorry, Lily. I'm sorry you lost your things. Don't leave. Your parents left you logged in. That's anyway. Anyway, I'm a bad person just today. Anyway, let's get to the good stuff. Let's catch up. And so just released a video yesterday, and that video was on the 45 Drivers Proxinator 1 year later. I wanted to talk about that because, we got that gear and set it up, and, I did a whole bunch of other stuff around that video, around that hardware with things like Proxmox and the migration off of VMware, and I had little sad, like, I think I played like the trumpet things to make it whatever. Watch the old stuff. It was fun for me. But a year on, I thought it'd be appropriate to kind of kick in and talk about what this system is doing, how it's doing. I know Jason just said in the chat, speaking of Proxmox, VE9 just dropped. I want to talk about that next. Don't steal my thunder. Don't you do it. Anyway, so it was a good opportunity to talk about the system and how it's been functioning. And it's also one of those videos that like, nothing bad has happened. I saw that there were some, one of our Discord members who happens to also be in the streamer now was grilling me a little bit about the temperatures, which we double checked. Temperatures were great. And I expected so. I also saw something as a comment. I don't know if I can see the comments down here. Yes, I can. Let's see. No, where is it at? Anyway, someone had mentioned down here that this guy about I will 100% disagree with them on the whole fan thing. This was my first and only 45 drives piece of hardware. So what I see is, I don't make assumptions that the whole system, all the systems they make are like this, but this gentleman here is purporting that that's how they deploy everything, is with everything on full blast, which feels crazy to me. Yeah. And no support for the 15 millimeter drives. Fundamentally, that's kind of my, that's really my only gripe. And mostly because I came into a bunch of 768 terabyte SAS SSD drives from an old teardown of some Dell hardware, and I can't use them because they're too thick, which is a bummer. But But yeah, so you know, a year on, it's still powering right through workloads. That's my face. Oh, good. Look, there's an advertisement. I pay for YouTube Premium, but in this account that I'm logged into, it doesn't. That's not my YouTube Premium. I wanted to get to some of the good stuff here, but yeah, we can talk about the. One of the big things I touched on in the garage was that it's in my garage, and that garage is hot. Now it's not Arizona hot. We've got some friends, people who are in a Discord that live in the fine state of Arizona, and they're on fire all the time. I think that that's effectively what happens, that they're all always in 1,000-degree heat. So it's a little different than what I've got going on versus what, like in Oregon here, our summers, we might see a couple 100-degree days here and there, but not like 110, 115, but they have air conditioning. So it's, I don't know what to say. This thing has been chugging along in my garage. Those are those Knec Ultraflow fans. These things, I make a joke in the video. I'm like, if you know, you know, because these things are like F5 tornadoes. Just one of them alone. I swear, if you took a Knec Ultraflow fan and you set it down on a table and you plugged it in, it would elevate. It would just lift itself off the table because they just move so much air and they're so loud. And there's 4 of them in there, and they dump air. They're not messing around. So long story short, that was happy to get that out and talk about that just in time, honestly, to talk about the big news that popped down today. Oh, by the way, so 45 drives. Let's kind of talk about this for people who are actually running businesses. They're interested in Turnkey Proxmox. Like, I can't tell you, if you're somebody who wants to have full service hardware and software. I know I sound like a commercial. I'm not being a commercial for them. I'm really enamored with the equipment, minus the 15mm drive. You got to put 7mm drives in this, which is a dumb thing. But they have the 8. By the way, these numbers just mean the amount of drives. This one's got 8. The one I have is a VM16. It's got 16 drives, and then there's the 32 drive, and that's this tri-mode backplane where they've got U.3, NVMe, SATA, and SAS support. Then they also have these guys down here, which are SATA SAS backplanes only, and Stornado. But anyway, if you are seeing this and you are from the future and you're like, I'm looking for an option here for Turnkey Proxmox, these guys are the way to do it. Honestly, I don't, unless you want to do it yourself and you want to spend every day on the phone with them. That's cool too. You can do that. So this is a good segue, and as Jason in the chat mentioned, like today is I don't know if we should be like celebrating. Is it a celebratory thing? I'm gonna enhance a little bit more here. Just enhance. Where's my mouse cursor? Okay, that's the best I can do. Proxmox Virtual Environment 9.0 with Debian 13 is released. So I had a debate whether I should be like upgrading mine on camera, because sometimes I feel like the experience of updating things while on camera and the drama and the disaster that happens because of it harkens back to like the old tech demos, like Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer on stage, like, we're gonna press the buttons and it doesn't work. And I kind of enjoy that for some reason. That's just me, but I'm not going to update on camera. But I did want to talk about the features that have come out with 9, because there's some cool stuff in here, and then there's some stuff that, how do I say this without sounding like a jerk? There's stuff in here that should have been there a long time ago. That's all I'm going to say. So let's start with the things that I noticed that are awesome right out of the gate. Like, newer version of the OS brings newer versions of ZFS. So now you can add disks to existing VDEVs and pools, which is really nice. Like, I know that that's something that, that was a big deal for TrueNAS when that happened. I'm just wearing the shirt. I'm not supporting them. It's just a shirt. And, having that ability now to expand your pools and your VDEVs is nice. That's a good thing, right? Jason said in the chat, I'm waiting to upgrade. Proxmox always seems to have issues at first. Fair. I mean, don't be an early adopter. That's how you lose your data center, right? It's just the way that works. So I'm glad to see those things. Like I said, this is nice because I wanted to highlight it if I can find it here, because it was said to be, I read it earlier in the where is that? Oh, it's down here. So like ZFS 2.33 now, with support for adding devices. When you build out a ZFS pool and the only way you can get it bigger is just by changing the drives out, this makes it a lot easier for you to and the way I built my ZFS pool and my Proxmox is a bunch of mirror pairs, right? Because it's virtualization. I want to have those mirror pairs so I can have a bunch of concurrent read writes. And so it'd be nice now if I come across 7mm drives, that's the problem, it's 7mm, that are bigger. I can start moving them out, expand the pool size and have a bigger volume. So that's cool. So let's get to the things that they're great, that I'm happy you're there, because I'm upset that they weren't there and surprised that they're not there. So we'll talk about this first. Snapshots for thick provisioned LVM shared storage. It was a huge surprise to me when I moved to Proxmox from VMware and I connected up an iSCSI share that I couldn't snapshot any virtual machines in that storage. That was an eye-opening moment. And I know you can say, whatever. Like, I don't know what sort of apologist sort of things you can say of why that was okay. There's a few things in Proxmox till this day that are just still not okay. This is a fixing over there. No, sorry, it's over here. This is a fixing that I'm super happy to see. Like, now people can use their NFS storage, their iSCSI backends on a SAN, and they can snap disks or VMs, and they can treat them just like regular virtual machines. And so that's, I imagine, actually, chat, if you're paying attention to me, like, let me know if that's important to you, because it's important to me, because even though I have a ZFS pool inside of Proxmox right now, and that pool is running all of my virtual machines, I do move things to external storage. I move it over to my NFS shares because I have fast disks in there, and if I need to move workloads around, I'll be able to snap that stuff. And I'm just happy. I'm happy that's there. So to me, that's a big deal. Really, 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 really happy to see that. The new fabrics feature in the SDN stack is interesting, especially for people who are using like EVPN. I'm not, or other underlays for full mesh. I'm not. Most of the staff, even in the regular data center stuff that we have right now, in regular life, don't use a whole lot of that because it's more traditional. But I think this is great that I want to start playing with this. So when I get a chance to upgrade, I'm going to start digging in. We'll probably make some videos about it. But having multipaths between nodes and automatic failover across network interface cards. I mean, again, you might want to state that would be something you'd hope would be there. But look, I'm glad it's there. That's what matters the most, is that it's there. I'm happy that stuff's there. Down here to Affinity Rules in high availability clusters. This is going to be just like up here with the snapshots and thicks. Okay, I'll answer this question. Brandon, can you throw up Grish's question there about, I wonder how VMware did iSCSI? Did they format it, file system, put vmix? Okay, so Grish's comment was, I wonder how VMware did iSCSI. Did they format it as a file system and put VMD, you have DMX, with VMDKs on there, versus Proxmox treating it as a block storage directly? The answer to that is basically yes. When VMware has a multi-user or a multi-access file system called VMFS, my brain, it's the end of the day. So VMware uses VMFS, and they're up to version 6 something now. And you can have multi-access for multiple hosts that are all in there, and that shared file system then has VMDKs, or your virtual machines. And the hierarchy in there is broke down very simply as like, there's just folders. Like if you have VM1, there's a folder called VM1, and then all of its corresponding stuff is in there. And there's waving going on. Yeah, VMDKs. Anyway, so yeah, they've been able to do snapshotting. The way that the VMware snapshots was just to create a Delta file. So, and this is why I couldn't understand why Proxmox didn't have snapshots to begin with, because the way VMware does it is just says, okay, we're starting a Delta. So you have a virtual disk of VMDK, and they would snap it. That disk would then, for that until the snapshot has been consolidated back down or removed, is a read-only file, and all of the changes that are happening are in change blocks, basically in a Delta file. And you can live in that Delta file forever. And anytime it needs to read from the old disk, there's pointers to it. It just goes and grabs it. And so when you consolidate and you delete a snapshot, it just merges that stuff back. And John, got John Harrison in the chat, everybody. That basically, that's the way they did it. That's obviously not the way that Proxmox has been doing, especially with the ZFS file system. They just created a ZFS snapshot, right? It's a different means of doing it. To me, the way they did it was more like the way that native integration with like a pure storage array or a NetApp would be. Like you tell the storage array to make the snap of the data and not actually create your own Delta file. So that was the difference. And Grish just said, I'm curious to try out this snapshot as a brand new chain thing with QCOW2 and Proxmox. Yeah, I'm excited about, I'm back here. I'm excited about just having the ability to snap and have it be like every other storage, because ideally in a real world, from a customer standpoint, you just want whatever storage you connect up to your hypervisor, your virtualization stack, to just work. And you want to have parity between the two, right? You want that sort of like, I want this to be the same, because who doesn't, right? Anyway, shiny is happening. So Affinity Rules in high availability HA clusters. This is one of those things that, again, I just want to say has been available in other products for a very long time. And I'm just shocked and stunned that it took them so long to allow you to create rules to keep things where you want them to stay. So background, because some people might be watching this and like, what are you talking about, dude? Affinity and anti-affinity rules. That term means that when you deploy virtual machines into a cluster, like a stack of servers, you can say that I want virtual machine number 1 to stay on server number 1, come hell or high water. No matter what, that VM stays on that host. When you do maintenance on the host, that becomes a problem. You have to actually disable your affinity rules, because you can't put a host into maintenance if it's got an affinity rule that says the VM can't leave, because then you can't, whatever, you get it. It's a chicken and egg thing. And so affinity rules are effectively something you want to use to take workloads that need to stay together and keep them together so they don't have to spend any tax, and tax being latency or turnaround time of moving data across the network unnecessarily through a network stack and out the physical network and backup and all that stuff. So the example that they use in here in the document is, I'm pushing the wrong direction, is the same one that I would use. Like if you have a database server and you have database workers that are like a web front end, leave them on the same host so that they only stay inside the virtual network inside of the box. They never physically leave the box. And they also have anti-affinity rules for keeping things separate. The reason why this is still a problem for me, and why I still think that this is kind of ridiculous, is because they still don't have automated load balancing functionality built into Proxmox. This is, again, one of those things that, like, I understand, and Brandon tried to set me straight earlier. Like, I understand that it's maybe a little hard, but VMware's been doing it ever since they had clusters. Being able to put your workloads into your cluster and say, balance across all my gear so that everybody gets the best possible compute experience, storage experience possible, should just be table stakes. And so I'm hoping that this is the start of something magical for them, because I'm not entirely certain what affinity rules buy you if you don't have to worry about your workloads moving. And somebody in the chat, if you're watching this in the chat and you have deeper knowledge, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the end all be all of anything, because I'm not. If you have deeper knowledge of Proxmox and whatnot, I don't see why you can just put your VMs on a host and leave them there. They're not going to move on their own. So build out your cluster and say, database servers are here. The fact that this exists makes me wish that there's a coming future state of actual, what we used to call SDS, or software, or DRS, distributed resource scheduling, excuse me. So you had systems watching workloads saying that system's a little hot, that virtual machine is way hotter and that server is overloaded. Let's just go ahead and push that VM to another host and have it automatically happen. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, Alice, what do you mean that they will move? You can move them on your own, right? You can say move, and you can migrate workloads between hosts in a cluster manually in Proxmox, but there's no automated system moving them for you based on criteria, whether that criteria is, how hot the CPUs are in terms of hot as in like utilization, or how much of the RAM is there. Are you in a ballooning state where you have resource contention on a host, you need to spread out, that kind of stuff. So an HA event counts as a move. Okay. All right. I get what you're saying. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think that a crashing host and the workloads moving across is there are HA events, and then there are HA events. I know. Yeah, I know. Yes. Anyway, so I'm happy to see this because these are industry standard things, like the Affinity Rules, the industry standard snapshotting. Like, I'll throw a bone to XCP&G. They've had that functionality for a long time, and really, Proxmox's big competitor here isn't VMware or Nutanix, it's XCP&G. So I'm glad to see that happening. I don't have any opinion on this enhanced mobile interface, mostly because I don't use the mobile interface on any of my virtualization because it's behind a wall. Yeah, and Grish just said there was people have made scripts. Yes, there have been people who have been adventurous enough to make scripts to load balance for you in Proxmox, because Proxmox is just running on Linux, right? So you can do that stuff. But are you going to trust somebody's hobby script in your data center at work? I mean, at home, why not? Experiment in your home lab and knock yourself out. But I don't want a phone call in the middle of the night because something broken, a bunch of machines are lost or broken. I did see also for the Ceph users in the audience that there was updates for Ceph as well. So I'm not a Ceph user. Everything I do is either on box or it's via iSCSI or NFS. So, but that's interesting. I only have a single host, as you'd have seen from the video. But anyway, but who doesn't like a big release? This is not a point release, friends. This is a full version release. Version releases are awesome. So I'm excited about that. So yeah. Sakura, I ran the script as root and it broke. Please send help. You might have a hard time getting a response from the GitHub owner on that script. But yeah, so that's very, again, moving in the right direction. I saw recently, and this is just somewhat tangentially related to this, that a while back I did an interview with the CEO of Scale Computing, Jeff Reddy, and his company just got snapped up by a very similar to Broadcom style acquisition. So I'm hoping that they play it differently, and it doesn't mean the end of that stuff. So there's interesting changes in the market. The world is still world of virtualization is still moving in waves. There's some big winners out there, and then there's some people still catching up. So I'm looking forward to doing the upgrade, which, by the way, looks like, moving on to that, let's talk about upgrades, because one of my big complaints about older Proxmox was that the upgrade path from one version to another, not point releases, not apt updates and dist upgrades, but yeah, Shout Technologies let me know that he's 40 gigabit Ceph Proxmox cluster. Well, let's see what happens when you get yourself updated to version 9. Then you can check in with me and make sure everything's going good there. But Sakura made a mention in chat that auto can be a double-edged sword. It might pick the slowest system to fall back on if you have a mix of hardware stuff. From a professional standpoint, if I put professional rich hat on, typically the systems that are doing DRS, they make decisions based on the availability. And most companies, if you're talking about a home deal, yeah, I feel like it's less of a priority, because I think most people who are building clusters at home are doing so because they like the redundancy of being able to like move workloads around when they need to like update hosts or they need to do maintenance on something. They see it more as a benefit of uptime. And you know, when you go to a business, typically their stacks are homogeneous. You're not going to find a first gen Xeon here and not first gen, but like a first gen scalable and a second or third gen scalable. They don't typically go that route. It's typically a hardware refresh that happens in a cycle, but yeah. But yeah. And Screw's making a mention about the Knec X3 cards working Debian 13 Proxmox and that's good. I'm glad to see that because I know a lot of people are running on those 40 gig cards in our community. I didn't say Discord. So, so the thing that I have seen this time, it looks like for the most part with some known issues, which I'll have to look at. Oh, that's API stuff. But, yeah, right here, some known upgrade issues. It looks like there's a relatively clean, upgrade path. If you're not like they make calls out for like coexisting, co-installed PBS on your host. Are there people out there doing that? It must be enough that that they make a comment on it. I feel like putting your backup in the same host as your hypervisor is nesting all your eggs in one spot, but I digress. It's neither for me to decide or to recommend. So this is, it looks like from all this, it looks like it's a pretty smooth update. It looks like they've got some checklist scripts to run and just to validate everything's going to work. I am not sure how long I'm going to wait to do this personally, because like having the 45 drives Proxinator means that I have hardware in there that might be a little susceptible or unsupported and needs to be supported. What I'm going to do now that this just dropped today, I'm going to send a friendly question off to 45 drive support and say, do you support Proxmox 9? Because none of this is coming out of the blue. Like these guys have been, they've been working on version 9 for a long time. There's been alphas and betas and beta 2s and that kind of stuff. So the thing that I found is most companies tend to wait until production before they start working on supporting it, just because they have limited resources and finite engineering. So anyway, but I might do it. I just don't want to destroy it. In fact, that was Brandon's comment to me. He's like, if you do this live on the show and it breaks it, do you want to be restoring your virtual machines on a Tuesday night? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want that. So that's not going to do it. So, but yeah, so if you guys, and this is a genuine call out here. Jason's Lab, welcome. I would love to know from the community if I know I was reading the chat, and obviously there's some people who are gonna wait a month or months. And so if you guys do start doing those updates, I would love to hear about it. I like sharing that knowledge. And so either make a comment in this video's comments, like if you're watching this later, if you're coming from the future, or join our Discord. It is free and it is awesome. And it's a great place to like share that stuff and just looking at the chat. And so Sakura is saying that his PBS is in a QEMU libvirt VM plus NFS storage. So, I mean, it's virtualized in that case. It's not coexisting like they're calling out ahead. So, but I am happy to see that this seems to be more of a turnkey upgrade versus like when I first started looking at Proxmox, like from version 7 to version 8, felt like it was laborious, like batten down the hatches because there's the possibility. So I'm interested in that. So that's what is this is back to my other video or the page. I'm just looking at what I've got here. I want to change gears because this is so fresh and hot and new. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see how this turns out for everybody. But so Snowman 2 just said 2 Proxmox nodes and a standalone PBS hardware. I feel like that's the safe way to do it. Yeah, so did Grish. Like, just keep them. Make it a virtual machine if you want. That's cool, right? Because you're just passing that data off through something else. But like, I don't feel like installing it natively on your Proxmox host is a smart, safe idea. But I just work here. Anyway, let's switch some gears. I want to talk about what's coming up next because I'm really excited about the next video, because the next video is going to lead to, and we're gonna build a server. We're gonna build a like a Homelab, turnkey Homelab server, and when we do, after it's done, we're gonna do a giveaway and give it out the door. And it's probably going to be continental United States, because shipping is a murderous thing. And I'm sorry. I just want to say that right now. I know that's one of those things that it always makes people mad. And we have quite a bit of viewership that's outside the country. And you all mean a lot to me, but shipping something outside the United States is an effing nightmare. And then, anyway, let's talk about the hardware though, right? Let's talk about what we're going to be building. So I don't know if you can still hear me, but I wish there was a way for me to show you this. And anyway, so let's talk about the main board. I touched on it 2 weeks ago, but I'm excited about this. This guy right here, I dropped it. There's the BD790i X3D motherboard from Minis Forum. This is hot off of the presses, if you will, but I'm really jazzed about this board because this is a Mini-ITX board. We'll take a look at it right now together, because that's what we do. I took some pictures of it and threw it on the socials a while back, but it is right, Jason. It's a nice little board. This thing, sorry for the crinkly stacked paper, but that's just the way it is. Let's close this up. Come on, meow. It's always harder than it needs. Okay. So this is the board. And that guy here, this is weird angles for me, so I'm sorry if I look like I'm just like, what is he doing? Is he drunk? No. So let's talk about the specs of this board. This is an AMD Ryzen 9 7945 HX3D, up to 5.4 gigahertz, 16 cores, 32 threads. None of that E-core, P-core bullshit. It's just a straight up little monster of a kind of a mobile chip, I guess. This board itself has dual, they're underneath here, so I without unscrewing this, I can't show you, dual M.2 NVMe's. I think they're PCI 5.0. So there's one 16X, and it's electrically 16X PCIe slot. Got Wi-Fi built into it. And it's DDR5, of course. So we're going to build this out, and we're going to toss 48 gigs of DDR5 into it. 5600. So that'll go into the board. And if you saw the show 2 weeks ago, the live show 2 weeks ago, we were talking about computer cases and what cases to do for a build like this. And I had like all these ideas of these John's bows and all this kind of cool stuff. And one of the viewers was like, hey, check out this 3D printed design that someone made. And they had a free version, and it was like, that's neat. And then they had like a paid version of it that had more features and functionality. So I'm going to 3D print that cage, or excuse me, that case. And that might be the only detracting thing to it, but the case is really badass. It's got a set of drives in the bottom. They're like, it's modular, so you could add more of these like stacks of drives if you want to. It'll take the main board, and all of this is going to be built into it. There's other things that are going to this case. So let's flip back to the camera, Brandon. All right. It has built-in, it's got a built-in GPU, right? But the built-in GPU, not so great at transcoding and that kind of stuff. And if you're building a Homelab server, so we're going to toss into that system this little guy here. That is the Sparkle Eco. It's just an A310, and it's a little, you know, there's no additional power required. We'll do that AV1 encoding like a monster. It'll be fantastic. I haven't even opened this yet. You guys mind if I open it? Because I want to open it. Got all this stuff while I was on vacation. Didn't touch it. Ooh, it is teeny weeny. Yeah, Shadow Technologies. It doesn't have SPF Plus, or you mean SFP? SPF. It certainly has sunscreen on it. Sorry, I'm a jerk. Yeah. So this little guy here Again, sorry for the garbage of the wrapping paper noises. Just a nice little simple Intel A310 that will do handsomely for all of our encoding, decoding needs. Yeah, you were close enough. You were close enough. Shout out Technologies, 100%. On top of that, we're gonna use as the plan for this deployment. I feel like I'm giving away all the secrets, but just go watch the video when it's done. Make the algorithm happy with me. On top of the main board, the 48 gigs of RAM, we'll put in a singular M.2 NVMe, a 2 terabyte NVMe, and we'll leave the other port open for this guy here. This is where we're going to get all of our additional SATA drives. By the way, I'm going to outfit it with SATA drives too, so I'm not sure what size yet. I know you can always upgrade. You've seen these before. I know that Radal did a video where he used one of those guys. I know it's hard to see. Let's get closer. Come on. That's always a pain in the butt to get to work. Anyway, it is a little M.2 to 6 SATA 3.0 ports. And that will be what drives the mechanical drives that go in that system. And so that will round out the storage part of this. I really wish this board had a mini SAS HD interface on it, even if it wasn't like SAS, but just the SAS port for the density. That would have been really nice, but that's not what they did with this, unfortunately. So, and this has its own built-in heatsink. Excuse me, this main board, but obviously we'll put a fan on it to keep it cool because it's meant to be cooled by just a fan on top. But all that wrapped in a Silverstone Extreme 500 watt SFX. Had to look. Yeah, SFX power supply. There's so much stuff here. Just set on top of things. We're just gonna make a huge pile here. You guys can comment about it. Yeah. Well, we won't be using that Sakura. We won't be using that fan. I'll throw it in the box when it ships out, but we won't be using it because we'll need to be able to get access to those other to the SATA. So that's it. And the case. Let me see if I can find that case real quick. That was last week. Let me see. Hold on. Talks amongst yourselves while I find this from last week because it was just really, really cool. And I should have had it handy. My bad, guys. Anyway, we'll worry about it later. But long story short, it's going to be done in PETG, black PETG. So we'll have a really nice, nice case built out of it, and it'll be able to handle the heat. That's the big thing is how hot is it going to be? It'll be totally fine. God, I want to find this case again. But no bueno. Go. But what else here? And yeah, I mean, last but not least, that's it. I bought a display for it too. That is built into the case. We'll see how well that actually cooks off when it's done. But that's another. We'll see. But yeah, I mean that's coming. I'm excited to build that out and make that And for me, it's like one of those deals that if someone gets it and they're like, I don't like this, then just tear it apart, do what you want with it, because that's the joy of owning something. It's yours. Do whatever you want. And the last thing that I have no pictures for or anything like that, but it did hit the news was that. And it was our Discord that rang it out as the update for PFSense that went out for the. Let's get to it. Let's look and see here. For the PFSense Plus version, let me find it real quick here. I don't want documentation. I just want to find their blog post. Go to blog. Yeah. So version 2507. I have not done this. It is on my laundry list of things to do this weekend. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not only the owner of a Homelab, but I'm also the IT support for the family. And what I have learned is you never do maintenance during the day in a household full of people using the internet, because they will chase you with pitchforks and torches. I don't want to subscribe to your thing. Thank you. But man, it feels like it's been a long time since we've got a whole version release. And let's pop open my thing here. Did I do the right password? Yeah, there it is. Okay, boop. So I'm currently running on, where's my version here, friends? Why am I'm blind. I'm blind. Oh, 2411 is what I'm on. But you know, they changed it so that if you wanted to do updates on the system, you had to go to patches and do like the patch stuff. And it always felt dangerous. Like I wanted a whole full upgrade like I would expect, and a firmware update for a real firewall. But listing some CVEs here that I need to fix. So that's on my list to do, and I'll let you guys know how that goes, because that's gonna be at least with PFSense. I know that I can just revert back, just make a backup of the file. Like the destruction of Proxmox in an upgrade is much more of an ordeal, because I have to, you know, reinstall a fresh Proxmox and then import all of my VMs from backup. And that feels like a lot more work than if I destroy a PFSense box. I can just easily just pull in the old config from a new install and be off and running. So I don't know if anybody in the chat has done theirs yet. I know that it was popped up. I'd love to know if anyone has had any issues, but otherwise, so yeah, I think that that's probably going to be it for today, friends. And Brandon, you want to just throw me up there and drop the screen? But here's that. It is always an honor to hang out with you guys. It is always, believe it or not, there's a lot of running around and preparation that happens before a show, but it's always a blast to hang out with you guys. So, and I'm getting a phone call from someone who apparently wants to talk to me, but they're not going to like it because I'm not going to answer. San Fernando, California wants to talk to me. It's spam. No, thank you, San Fernando. Anyway, friends, we're going to end it right here. Hop over to our Discord, which is free, and you can hang out with us and chat. I'll be in there. Brandon, John might pop in, might not. That's fine. But we can catch up there. Get any questions or anything like that, or you want to hang out. But we will see you next week. Thank you all for joining and attending, and have a good week, guys. We'll see you next week.